Imagine being arrested for a crime you didn't commit. Police arrive at your home. Your neighbors watch. You are handcuffed, searched, and taken away. You are told it's only an experiment. You will be paid. You can leave at any time. But once the door closes, the rules change. Your name is taken. Your clothes are removed. You are given a number. And within days, the people around you begin to forget this isn't real. In August of 1971, this happened to a group of college students at Stanford University. What followed was so disturbing that the experiment was shut down early, not because of violence alone, but because normal people began to lose their humanity. In the summer of 1971, psychology professor Philip Zimbardo wanted to study how people behaved when placed into positions of power and submission. He believed that situations, not personality, shaped human behavior. To test this, he created a prison, not a metaphorical one, a real one. In the basement of Stanford University's psychology building, classrooms were transformed into prison cells. Doors were replaced with metal bars. A small closet became solitary confinement. Hallways became guard stations. Then came the volunteers. 75 men applied. 24 were selected. They were carefully screened. No criminal records. No mental health issues. No history of violence. They were randomly assigned roles. Half became guards. Half became prisoners. The roles were chosen by chance. But what happened next was not. The prisoners were told to wait at home until the experiment began. What they didn't know was that their arrest would be real. On the first day, police officers arrived at the homes of the prisoners. Neighbors watched as the men were handcuffed, searched, and placed into police cars. They were read their rights. They were fingerprinted. They were booked. Then they were blindfolded and taken to the basement prison. From the moment they arrived, their identity was stripped away. Their clothes were taken. They were given smocks instead of uniforms, rubber sandals instead of shoes, a stocking cap to simulate a shaved head. They were no longer called by name, only by number. The guards, meanwhile, were given uniforms, sunglasses to hide their eyes, batons to carry. They were told one thing: maintain order. They were not given specific instructions on how to do this. Within hours, the tone changed. The guards began enforcing rules, strict rules, petty rules. Prisoners were woken in the middle of the night for roll call. They were made to repeat their numbers over and over. Mistakes were punished with push-ups or humiliation. At first, it seemed like acting, then it didn't. By the second day, the prisoners rebelled. They blocked cell doors with their beds and refused orders. The guards responded immediately. They used fire extinguishers to blast the prisoners with cold air. They dragged prisoners out of cells. They stripped them naked. They placed leaders of the rebellion into solitary confinement. What followed was not part of the plan. The guards became more creative. Some prisoners were forced to clean toilets with their bare hands. Others were denied sleep. Food was withheld as punishment. Privileges were taken away. The guards began to enjoy their authority, and the prisoners began to break. One prisoner, known only as 8612, started showing signs of emotional collapse. He screamed, he cried, he begged to leave. At first, the researchers believed he was pretending, but the panic did not stop. His breathing became erratic. His thoughts became confused. He believed he was truly trapped. After intense debate, he was released, but the damage was done. The other prisoners watched. They learned something important. No one was coming to save them. As days passed, the line between role and reality disappeared. Prisoners stopped resisting. They followed orders automatically. Some began to police each other. Guards escalated. They forced prisoners to simulate sex acts. They humiliated them in front of others. They used isolation as a threat. Not all guards were cruel. Some felt uncomfortable. Some tried to be fair, but they did nothing to stop it. Silence became cooperation. Even the researchers changed. Philip Zimbardo, the man running the experiment, had taken on the role of prison superintendent. He began to think like one. When prisoners complained, he dismissed them. When guards crossed lines, he justified it. When warning signs appeared, he ignored them. The experiment had taken control of its creators. By day 5, prisoners were emotionally numb. Some showed signs of depression. Others were deeply anxious. They spoke softly. They avoided eye contact. They obeyed without question. They were no longer pretending. The experiment might have continued. But then someone outside noticed. A graduate student named Christina Maslach visited the prison. When she saw the prisoners, she was shocked. She saw fear. She saw humiliation. She saw suffering. She asked a simple question. How is this allowed? That question changed everything. After 6 days, the experiment was shut down. 2 weeks had become less than 1. When the participants were interviewed afterward, many struggled to understand their own behavior. Guards said they didn't recognize themselves. Prisoners said they felt powerless. Everyone said it felt real, too real. The Stanford Prison Experiment became famous. It was taught in classrooms, shown in documentaries, referenced in books and films. But it was also criticized. Some argued the guards were acting. Others said the setup encouraged abuse. Later investigations suggested that researchers may have influenced behavior more than they admitted. Even so, one thing could not be ignored. People changed quickly, not because they were evil, but because of the system they were placed in. Given power, some abused it. Given submission, others accepted it. The experiment revealed something uncomfortable. Human behavior is fragile. Put the right people in the wrong situation, and things can fall apart fast. The Stanford Prison Experiment is no longer allowed to be repeated. Ethical rules have changed, but its lesson remains. Evil does not always announce itself. It does not always wear a mask. Sometimes it wears a uniform. Sometimes it hides behind rules, behind roles, behind silence. The most unsettling part is not what happened in that basement. It's how quickly it happened. In just a few days, normal people forgot who they were, and that raises a question that still has no clear answer. If placed in the same situation, would we behave any differently?